I was not finding a lot of channels that were dedicated to moms with older kids. I started to put that kind of information out, like here's how you can travel with a preteen or a teenager. She's a teenager now, and that research actually helped because she loves it, and so I wanted to make sure I share that information and showcase our lifestyle, so that if there are other moms out there or other families out there who want to do this and they're kind of scared of taking their child out of school, it can work. It can work.
This is Pay Me in Plane Tickets. Enjoy.
Anyways, welcome to the Pay Me in Plane Tickets podcast. I'm so glad to have you on. You're an inspiration from our eyes here, because you are pretty much you pretty much traversed through most of Mexico, and you have a very unique story, right?
I have done a couple cities. I have. I don't know about most. Mexico is huge,
I know,
but I love what I've visited so far. So for sure.
Okay, so give us a little bit of the beginning. So, how did you first get into traveling?
Well, I have always done the work from home thing even before the pandemonium. So I was kind of always at home in my bedroom, looking out my window, working on my laptop. And I always was like, what the hell am I doing? Like, why am I living this suburban lifestyle at home? Like, I should be
Right,
living the laptop lifestyle that all the bros talk about, right?
right,
That's like, I should be traveling the world. I can just take up and go off. I'm not tied to any job. And so I put the plan in place, and I was like, started doing my little research,
Mhm.
started looking for countries, and then the pandemonium happened.
The start of it all.
Right? I was like, nah. So I sat my butt down and said, okay, can't go nowhere right now. And so we all worked through that. But I mean, I guess one tiny little benefit that came out of it is that even more places started to open up and offer, work travel visas, or whatever you want to call it, digital nomad visas and all these things. And I actually started to take my research a little bit more seriously this time. And I started looking for places that I could possibly live on a reduced budget just in case anything happened. Because, coming out of that, you're like, something could happen again. You never
Right.
know. So, where is it that I could go and live on a relatively small budget? That's this time I wanted to be closer to home, because originally I was looking at Bali. That seems to be like where everybody goes when they're first starting out. I was like, I want to live in Bali. It seems so sexy, right?
Right.
But Bali, I'm from Jamaica. Bali is like 500 flights away. So I was just like, okay, let's not do that.
Right.
And so Mexico kept popping up in my research, and specifically this town of Merida that I'm in kept
Mhm.
popping up as somewhere that was safe to live. Coming from Jamaica, that was a high priority for me because I am traveling with my teen daughter. She was a preteen at the time.
Mhm.
So I wanted something that was somewhere that was safe and affordable. And so Merida kept popping up, and the more I did my research on it, the more I liked it.
Wow. Okay. So your first spot was to go to Merida after doing your research.
Pretty much. I mean, we stopped because from Jamaica there are no direct flights. So we stopped in Panama first. We went to Colombia simply because the flights were cheap. And I was like, well, let's go check it out. And we were in Colombia for 3 weeks, and I really actually liked it. I would love to go back and check it out a little deeper.
Mhm.
But I had done all my research on Merida. So I was like, let's get out of here. Let's actually go to the place that we're supposed to go. And Merida is the first place that I landed and have stayed for this long period of a time.
Okay. And so when you get to Merida, it was more so like Airbnb it, or did you first just get into owning
Yeah,
the
we were
property?
we were definitely in an Airbnb
Mhm.
because they always tell you to make sure that you go and you do your discovery trips, you check out the neighborhoods, and I was doing proper research. So I was trying to do everything by the book, like follow all
Right.
the YouTube and the blogs and everything that they tell you to do. So it's like, okay, I'll get a couple of Airbnbs before, but I was burned on Airbnbs in the last two places. So I was like, And then the first Airbnb that we got in Merida, I did not like, did not like at all. So I was just like, okay, I'm not so sure about this, but it got better the more we did. And then I finally did get a long-term place. And so, yeah.
Okay. So the first Airbnb, what was wrong with it?
It kind of looked like a young prince lived it there, like truly Prince the artist. So it was very purple, but very sparkly, like sequins were on the cushions. And I was just like, this is a little 70s vibe. I don't know. It was very eclectic, is what I will
Got you.
say.
So it didn't give you any inspiration to become a music star?
Not at all. Not at all. I was just like, yeah, I wasn't feeling it, but the neighborhood wasn't bad. Now that I think about it, we could walk to a few restaurants and things. So, yeah, the house itself, the layout of the house was kind of awkward. It was just like, I don't know about this, but yeah.
Understood. So now that I guess you tried out two properties sort of as a
Mhm.
short-term stay in Merida.
Yeah.
First one was the no-go. Second one might have been a little bit better, but
Yeah, so we actually kept going from place to place. I think we ended up, now that I counted, about four different Airbnbs when you think about it, because I was really trying to do my due diligence and getting to know the different parts of town and trying to
right.
figure out where I would want to stay long term. So we were in four different Airbnbs in four different neighborhoods, complete different neighborhoods. And that really helped me to kind of figure out, to get the lay of the land, figure out where I wanted to do. And then I started to look for a long term residence, and
Uh,
someone was kind enough to offer me a 6 month rental, and we took that. And so that was my first actual long term apartment here, and it was wonderful. It was a great apartment.
wow. So explain to us the process of becoming a long-term resident in Mexico. Is it a very
So funny
difficult
story is
process?
that I'm still not a resident here. I'm still doing the tourist visa thing, but I have started the process.
Okay.
So I'm gonna get my life right. But I am still on a tourist visa right now. So because I do travel a lot, like I've been back to Jamaica a few times. I have traveled to the US a few times. So every time I come back, they kind of give me a fresh 6 months. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it next time. And I keep doing
Right.
that. But
Yeah.
now I am actually going to get my life together. And I have started the process of getting my residency here. So that's why that first landlord actually gave me only a 6 month contract, because she's like, well, you're on a tourist visa. I'm not quite sure about you.
Right. So what is the 10-step process, or could you tell us what the 10-step process is to become a resident of Mexico? Because tons are trying to
You
do it. Just to let you know, you're definitely in the in crowd.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it starts wherever you are. So they're just generally a consulate, like a Mexican consulate, wherever you live. You'll email them, ask them what the requirements are, because funny story again, each consulate kind of has their own set of requirements. Like
Mhm.
they will tell you that you have to have a job and you have to be making X amount of money, and each that X amount of money is different depending on who you email. So it's like there is no standard answer. That's kind of crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you email whichever consulate is closest to you, I guess. And some people fly around to try and get to the lowest, consulate requirement, I guess. And there are some very basic things. If you have a job, you're making X amount of money. I don't know what else they would, those are the most difficult ones, is what I want to
Mhm.
say, to match up to, because I think it's like something like 3,500 US per month right now that you have to be earning for the last 6 months. You have to be able to show that you were
Okay.
earning something somewhere around there for the last 6 months. And once you have paperwork to show all of that, then you ask them for an appointment. They will come in, go over your paperwork, and if everything matches up, they will tell you that you qualify, and then you have to actually come to Mexico. I think you have 30 days after that to finish up the process here in Mexico. They will issue you a residency card, and you will become a temporary resident for a year, up to 4 years. You can pay for more time if you want. But yeah, it really is as simple as making sure that you are earning enough money. You can show that you've earned enough money for the past 6 months. There are other requirements, but this is the one that's most common. Because you
Pretty
can
much.
do the one where if you're retired, they will say, okay, do you have X amount of money in the bank? Like some
Right.
ridiculous 300,000 US dollars in the bank kind of a situation, which a lot of us probably don't have sitting around. So yeah, the most common one is if you have like if you can show that you've been earning 3,500 US dollars, and as I said, that figure varies depending on which consulate you email, and some other very basic paperwork. Then they'll be like, sure, come on down.
Wow. Okay. And so is the goal for yourself to get that residency card, but then also become a citizen of Mexico?
I do not have a goal of becoming a citizen at this time. I think temporary residency, maybe even permanent residency after that first initial year or a couple of years is the goal. I don't know about citizenship right now. We'll see what happens later on in life, you know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
think that Mexico was a beautiful soft landing for me. I do intend to do some more traveling, but I love Mexico enough to say that I want to establish at least residency where I can come and go as I please as a resident, even if a temporary resident, and then still do some long-term travel elsewhere, you know what I mean?
Okay. So let's dive into it. So you're to me, you're the Mexico aficionado, especially of Merida.
Look
Um,
at that.
but let's go any early days traveling. So did you kind of travel in we have secondary school, university, that kind of get you some
hmm
exposure outside of there?
I think, okay, so my mom will hate if I say that because my mom took me to Panama when I was maybe 5, 4. So I don't have, very many memories of Panama.
Right.
She always hates when I say my first real and true travel experience was on a school trip to Disney. But that really was the one that I remember the most. I was maybe 11, 12, and we went on a class trip to Disney in Florida. And that was, I guess sparked that travel bug in me. And then as a Jamaican, as a Caribbean, it is very common for us to go to foreign, as we call it, for the summer. So you get summer off from school, you have family abroad, you get sent to foreign for the summer. And so I did that, and that foreign for me was New York. So I've spent quite a few, I've spent quite a few summers in New York, and so I honestly caught myself one time saying, "Okay, I'm tired of New York. Where else?"
We all
And
are.
And so that's kind of what sparked the whole, okay, let's travel, but maybe not to the US. The world is large. Let's start to look for other places. And that's kind of how I started going down this digital nomad rabbit hole and landed on Bali and maybe Thailand. Those are the places that kept coming up as places where our digital nomad hubs at the time when I was searching. I don't know if it's still like that now. People say, Bali's overrated and it's too crowded and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Still haven't been there. Still do plan to go there. But yeah, that's what kind of sparked the bug in me. And I'm going to be honest with you. I really and truly love Mexico. Like everything that you've ever heard about Mexico, it's probably not true. You have to come and experience it for yourself.
Right. In preparation to, you did a lot of research on becoming a digital nomad. How long did it take for you to actually take that jump and actually say, okay, I'm going to really go for this digital nomad lifestyle from being kind of more stationary?
So that is a funny thing. So here's what actually sparked that. So so in the middle of the pandemic, my daughter, she had just finished what we call prep school in Jamaica. I think that's what you guys might call middle school, or what's that one
Could be.
before middle school for y'all?
It's elementary school, middle
Yeah,
school.
elementary
Oh, okay,
school, right.
got you.
So she had just kind of finished that grade, and that's where she kind of moves on to high school because we don't have middle school in Jamaica. It's kind of just like prep and then high. Those are the two main ones.
Okay.
And so she had gotten into a really good high school, and I was just like, well, okay, maybe I'll stay and allow her to finish her schooling because I was really excited that she got into this good school and everything was going to be, all hunky dory. So I was like, cool. I was definitely all for travel, But I was just like, let's ride the wave first, because one thing about Jamaica and the Caribbean, our high school standards are pretty high. So I was just like, let's complete schooling here. But she was not actually having fun in that first year of high school. And I was just like, girl, what? Stop it. I was like, you lying. And she really wasn't. And so around January, February, I looked, I was like, okay, the summer break is gonna come up. Maybe now is the time to test the waters. Maybe we can just go start do some traveling on the summer break.
Mhm.
And then my mom, she actually called me and she was like, she's tired of her job. She wants to leave Jamaica. And, she just unloaded on me. And I was like, well, I was actually thinking of traveling over the summer. And it became this thing. So when we first actually left Jamaica, it was four of us. It was me, my daughter, my mom, and my dad. That was a time.
The
Yeah.
whole gang.
It became a thing and the whole gang came. And so that's even one of the reasons why I chose Mexico, because it was close to home just in case, something happened. So yeah, that was we were supposed to just be dipping our toe in the water and be like, okay, let's test Mexico. Let's just go for the summer and see what happens. And that's kind of how I started the whole travel thing. And we came here and it kind of felt like home. And I was like, okay, never mind. We're not going back.
That's always a good feeling when you could just get the one-way ticket and be
Pretty
satisfied.
much.
Right.
Well, yeah, pretty much.
Now, did you have to build up like your financial war chest? Because when I do talk to digital nomads, they're like, yeah, I had to spend X amount of months making sure I saved. I've reduced my budget. I sold my house, my car, my keys, everything but my clothes. Is that
Mhm,
sort of your story
mhm.
as well?
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
It was like, we're just going to go.
Listen, that is the right thing to do, is to make sure, they always tell you, make sure you have 6 months of expenses saved. Maybe it's the Sagittarius in me, maybe it's the crazy. Which one of them we'll never know. I was just like, okay, let's just go. Let's just go. Yeah, let's just go. That was my thing. And so I had an online job and we were doing pretty well. I was like, well, if it doesn't work out, we'll take a ticket and go back home. And that was it. And that's all I had
Nice.
there. A job and a prayer, child.
No, that's beautiful to hear because you know what? I always tell people, I said, look, it's the crazy ones that make this world go round. So we
Listen,
need you.
and it
We
has
need
been a crazy journey.
you. So you land in Mexico. Which part of Mexico did you first land in?
We did, we came, well, I mean, we landed in Cancun, but we came straight to Merida.
Oh,
So,
straight there. Okay.
yeah, we just came straight here. That's where I had researched. And so we just took, set up shop once. And the thing is, when I say it felt like home, I really mean that, because I went to Panama. We stopped in Panama City first, like I said, and it gave off big city vibe. If I had to compare, I would say Panama City is like a Miami,
Okay.
because it's right on the waterfront, but you have all these high rises, big apartments, lots of traffic, things like that. And then we went to Colombia, which was nothing like I had ever experienced. It was probably like Brooklyn is what I would call Colombia, or Bogota in particular. It was all bricks, brownstone, high rises. Like that was the vibe
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Bogota.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was also cold, and I was just not prepared for the cold because we were going to a very hot climate, so we didn't have lots of sweaters or anything like that. So I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, this is nice, but let's get out of here. And so coming from that to Merida, it actually felt tropical again, because we're not very close to the beach, but it's only like maybe 30, 40 minutes out.
Okay.
So, it was very tropical. The heat hit us, like the homes, like the vibe of the people, it felt like home. And I was, everything was different, but the same. And I liked that.
Wow, that's beautiful to hear that, pretty much I mean, you did have a few stops before Merida, but you got
Mhm.
to Merida and you knew this was home for you.
Yeah,
That's
immediately.
not like most people. They have to go for
A
a year
few
or two,
places.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
And I've
figure it out.
definitely met expats here who come and it's just not the vibe for them at all.
Mhm.
They're not having a good time. So it really is just what you're looking for and how it feels when you get here. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
So explain for us, Merida's close to Cancun.
Hmm.
How different is Merida from Cancun? In my description, is kind of the Miami
Oh,
party.
child.
How was Merida compared to that?
Cancun is not a good experience for me at all. Cancun. So I always tell people if you've ever been to Cancun, you've been to Cancun, you haven't been to Mexico. Like they're
Right, right,
two
right.
completely different things. Like
Exactly.
Cancun, if you walk Cancun, there are the signs all over that says "We party harder than Vegas" or something like that, and that's exactly what Cancun is. It's like
Right.
Vegas. It's bright neon lights, tourists. Everybody speaks English. The prices are skyrocket high.
Very
Like
true.
it's just not the same experience at all as for venturing further out.
Right.
So, and then we have that same, I guess, kind of comparison in Jamaica, where if you've been to Montego Bay, you haven't been to Jamaica. Like, come
Right.
off the resorts and actually feel
Right.
it's the same exact thing. And so that's what I feel about Cancun. It's just like party central. That's where you go to throw back some tequilas, but that's not Mexico at all.
Right. Right.
So Merida is a much more laid back family vibe, slow lifestyle. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what Merida is.
It's definitely much more authentic.
It's definitely much more authentic.
Yeah, I can agree to that. Or I can sympathize with that because I have been to Cancun, and then when I
Mhm.
flew to Puerto Escondido, which is, on the Oaxacan side, it
Yeah.
was so different, and it's what I preferred, honestly. Just
Yeah.
kind of a laissez faire
Myself,
town. Yeah.
myself. And so I don't mind being in Merida here because if I do want to like, sometimes people come to visit, they go to
Mm.
Cancun. I'm like, sure, I'll come and party with you for a couple nights and then I'll go back home
Right.
to real life.
It's like I don't mind enjoying Times Square for a moment, but I gotta
That
go back to the
part.
suburbs. Yes.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. So that's great for you. Did the whole family just love Merida, or did it take them time to get used to it?
It was my mom and my both of my parents are now back in Jamaica, so it's just me and my daughter here still. My mom keeps saying she can't wait to come back home, and that's funny to hear her say it. She's like, Merida is home. I can't wait to come back. She wants to actually come back and set up shop and live, for herself. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I love that for you. My father, he loved it too. He
Mhm.
was just a little bit older, and so the language barrier was a thing for him. It was because my mom, she speaks relatively good enough Spanish. Me, I'm learning. Yeah, it's a journey, but I will get there.
Okay.
But so I lost the question.
Now I was saying, did the
Completely
whole
lost that one.
family love? Did your whole family
Right.
kind of love
Yes,
Merida?
absolutely. This was definitely, and that's what I was looking for. That's what I did not find in Panama, in Colombia. Something for everyone. So my mom loved it for her reasons. My father, he actually did find a few friends that he could speak with, but it would have been hard for him to find like local friends. He found a few expat friends, is what I mean.
Okay.
And yeah, my daughter. No, sir. She don't want to go back to Jamaica. She does not want to go back to Jamaica at all. She absolutely loves it here. Her social life here is more popping than mine. Sometimes I have to be like, stay in your house, stay in your house, not go nowhere. So she loves it here, and I love it for my own reasons. So that's what I wanted. Like everybody loved it for their own reasons. They all
Mhm.
found home in different
In
ways
different ways.
instead of
Wow.
me trying to push it onto them. And so yeah.
Okay. And where you are, is it very neighborly? Is that kind of Merida's vibe, or kind of?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Gotcha.
Definitely, definitely. It's very, how could I don't know. I don't remember enough of the like New York neighborhoods to describe it, but
Mhm.
it is very like block party kind of everybody. Yeah.
I always,
Especially
yeah.
in the more local neighborhoods, it's definitely everyone knows each other, you know your neighbors, and then they have a culture here of selling out of their homes. So you can definitely walk a few streets down and go get some empanadas from an abuela, that kind of a vibe.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Meaning you can definitely ask your neighbor for some sugar.
absolutely.
Yeah, right. There you go. So you only speak a little bit of Spanish.
I do the tiniest amount. I keep trying to learn a few more words every day. So I don't know, it'll take me years at this rate, but I have to be more intentional about learning the language because it's obviously more beneficial to be able to communicate even with my Uber driver, But I have my daughter. She was in Spanish classes. I'm gonna start her right back up as soon as I can because I want her to be as fluent as possible before we move on to wherever that may be.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can get around without knowing the language. I highly advise you to learn it though, especially if you're going to be here long term.
Mm.
But you can get around. It's just that I have it because I have been hanging around with too many expats. Too many y'all are here. Go home.
Yeah, no, and there have been studies or updated, data reports showing that a lot of Americans are moving to Mexico
Yep.
for a better life. So again, as I said, you already did it. You're kind of already in the in crowd. So
Hmm.
are you noticing a lot of expats in
Of
Merida?
course, there are a huge the expat I don't want to say community, but community is huge here
Mhm.
because it's not like a lot of people come here when they're brand new and they're like, "Where are y'all? I heard there was a lot of people, but I don't see y'all." So they think
Mhm.
that we are all like living in this expat community, and you'll hear people say, "Oh, I want to live among the locals. I don't want to live with expats as my neighbors," and there is nowhere. There is really nowhere. That's not a thing. Like if you come
Right.
here and take a spot, your neighbors are all going to be Mexican, like truly.
Uh,
But
okay.
because I think in Merida there are like 1 point enough people million live here, so
Mm.
there's a lot of us here, but we're spread out. And so
Okay.
what we do is we have a lot of events all the time. And so every time I go out, I'm probably hanging out with expats. I definitely need to stop that.
You gotta go to the local football games.
That part, exactly.
Um, so could you also dispel some of the narrative of around Mexico or even Merida? Because now that you've been
Hmm.
there, I'm very sure you've heard maybe it's not safe or maybe the next, et cetera, et cetera. You've been there for X amount of time. Could you also like explain like or just sort of shine a light on, hey, what
For
you're hearing about
sure.
this is not it's not the real
Yeah. So I have been here for more than 18 months now, I think, if I do the math. Um, what I will say is that the biggest elephant in the room is that Mexico is so dangerous. And I think one of the things that people do not realize is that Mexico is huge. If you look on a map,
yeah. Yes.
the land mass of Mexico is almost the same as America.
Yeah.
So that's like saying, don't go to USA, it's dangerous, which at this point in time, that might be true. But it's not the entire country, it's certain
Right.
parts.
Yeah.
Now, I would not be caught anywhere near the border, for instance, and again, it's not the whole border because a lot of people in Texas, California, they come down for medical treatments and and things like that all the time. So it's
Right.
not even the whole border. You get what I'm saying? There are
Right.
pockets of Mexico where you don't want to be caught for sure,
Hmm.
but it's pockets. It's just like, so in Jamaica, hurricanes are a thing. So every time there's a hurricane on the news in Mexico, people call me up. Are you okay? I heard there was a hurricane. The hurricane is 500 miles away. I didn't even feel a breeze. Like, Mexico is huge.
Right.
So I'm in a very, very safe part of Mexico. It's a city that keeps coming up as one of the safest places in all of North America, meaning
Mhm.
even Canada, North America, and Mexico. Merida, the city, is one of the safest places in all three countries or continents or whatever you want to call that. So where I am, and that's why I chose it because when you research it, Merida always pops up as safe. And it doesn't mean that you're in this bubble because there's going to be things like petty crime and people try
Right.
to pick your pockets or whatever. But it just means that I don't worry as much about like gun violence
Mhm.
or sexual assault, those kind of things that
Yeah.
are top of mind, especially for a single woman moving here.
Yeah.
I don't worry as much about some of those things
Right.
here. So yeah, Mexico is not this dangerous all over place that you would
Mhm.
hear about at all. There is no bam 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 in the streets. Like there's none of that. Like it's so funny because one of the very first things that when you come here and you experience like a Christmas or any holiday really, um, you hear a loud noise, and back home you're like, where's the gunshots
Yeah.
coming from? Here, it's who's having a party? Where are those fireworks? And it's the thing that every expat experiences because if you're a black person, you're
Right.
probably hearing it and going, what was that? And it was a thing that my mom joked about. And I realized that even when I'm out with Americans now, they pause and they're like, oh, it's fireworks. So it's actually a thing. Yeah, Merida is really safe, so there's nothing to really worry about. Of course, you're going to still have your antenna up, but there's not much to worry
Of
about
course.
here. The other thing that, people think that it's super cheap and super lacking in
Mm,
basic amenities is another thing that I would say. And that's not the case either. Like, Merida is affordable, but it's not cheap. Those things are two different things. So for me, for instance, coming from Jamaica, my cost of living is probably actually the same as living in Jamaica. I'm not saving much, but I came here for a different lifestyle to expose my daughter and myself to a different culture, all of that. For Americans, depending on which state you're coming from, it's going to be much more affordable than back home.
of course.
So if you're coming from maybe like California, New York, Florida, where your rent is like $2,500, then you can cut that rent in half here.
Mhm.
But if you're coming from places where you're spending $800 on your apartment, you're probably going to spend that here too.
Yeah.
So it really just kind of depends on what you call affordable. But you can find luxury living here. There's Costco here, there's Walmart here, there's all the amenities and all the luxuries that you'd like.
Yeah.
Um, so that's another thing that I love to dispel, that Mexico's standard is much lower than where you're coming from.
Mm.
Not at all. Not at
I
all.
understand. I'm
Yeah.
glad you actually mentioned that because yes, I do hear that a lot about when people broadly talk about Mexico. They say, "Oh, it's so cheap. It's so cheap. Everything you can get everything. A dollar for a
Mhm.
dime." But then when you get down there, you realize, hey, no, 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 it does cost something
It
too.
adds up. It definitely adds up. And especially when you bring your lifestyle. So,
Yes.
especially when you're brand new and you're doing the conversions, you're like, oh, this is cheap. And you start to go, you deliver every day. And then you're like, wait, hold on now. I'm spending a lot of money. So the longer you're here, the more you become hip to, okay, let's not do this. Yeah, yeah, true. Because there are ways to make it more affordable. But when you first get here, I find that expats are like, yeah, I'm balling out. I'm spending
Right.
1,200 US dollars on my apartment. You don't have
Right.
to.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. Nah, you get so comfortable with your American lifestyle, you try to translate it into your new
exactly.
place.
Exactly.
Of course. All right. So on to the good stuff. So the food. How is the food in Merida?
You
Give us the
know what
dishes.
though? So here is something that all Meridians are going to bash my head in when I say it, but having gone to Mexico City and Querétaro, I will say that because Merida is the capital of the state of Yucatan. So the Yucatecan dishes I find are not my favorite. And when you're coming with an American palate,
Yeah.
like Americans think tacos are whatever you get from Taco Bell. And that's absolutely not true. That's not what a taco is at all.
Speak on it.
So it's so much so that they call those Americanized tacos here a gringa. Like if you want to get a taco with cheese and salsa and all of these toppings on it, you're gonna have to ask for a gringa because gringa is supposed to be a derogatory term for a foreigner. And
Right.
so
Right. Right.
like that's just it. So that all that to say that you can find delicious food here, and
Mhm.
it gets even more delicious when you travel because each state I find is known for something. So,
Mhm.
like in Oaxaca, the chocolate and the cheese I keep hearing about. I've never been to Oaxaca myself, but I cannot wait. The food in Mexico City, the street food in Mexico City
Yes.
was, oh my God, I can't wait to go back. Like, I can't wait to go back. The street food in Mexico City was something to write home about.
Yes, it was.
Here in Merida, you definitely can try the different Yucatecan dishes, but they're not my favorites. I will say they're not my favorites.
Oh man. All right. Let's hope the Meridians aren't listening.
Right? Like, but I'm still relatively new here. So now that I've been here for over a year, I have all my favorite things. So I have like my favorite Chinese place and my favorite sushi place and my favorite Mexican. I still have my favorite taquerias where I can get absolutely delicious tacos and stuff. You just have to be here and try different ones to know what you like.
Okay, so and I'm glad you mentioned that because I didn't think that there would be other foreign foods in.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Merida
That's
is as much
interesting.
as of a melting pot as almost anywhere else. I won't go as far as to say like Mexico City, but it is
Right.
quite a melting pot here. So you will find all the Chinese food you want.
Yeah.
Now, if you can find good Chinese food, that's another, listen.
I guess
But
they're trying.
they're gonna put their Mexican spin on things, and anyway. But yeah, you can find Chinese, Japanese, all the Asian food. You can find Italian. There are lots of Italian restaurants here. You can find what else? We're missing a good Jamaican joint. I'll
I
tell
was
you
gonna
that.
ask. I was gonna say, is there any Jamaican food out there?
There are a couple Jamaican restaurants out in Playa del Carmen that do it justice, that do it right. So I've been out there once so far. Can't wait to go back. It definitely needs a Jamaican joint.
But that's a drive for you, I'm assuming, if you're at
It
going
is
to Playa.
quite a drive. That is a let's go to Playa for a weekend kind of a
Yeah.
vibe.
Yeah, that's basically you have to be really craving it if you really want it that badly.
Right.
But no, you did mention yes, I do love the Mexican the Mexico City food is amazing.
It
That
is.
is one thing I would say that the street food definitely it stays in here, stays in my head.
Yep, it is too. And then you know what? This is the home of the margarita, and that is absolutely my favorite thing here. That is absolutely my favorite.
Exactly.
Margarita me down, please.
Is the margarita great in Merida?
Oh,
Is there a certain
absolutely.
there's a certain
Absolutely.
bartender you're going to?
No, you can have a margarita anywhere here and it will be off the chain.
Really? Okay. All right.
Yep.
All right. I'm keeping that on the notes. I'll keep it on the notes. I know some people who would need that type of information.
Yeah.
All right. Now, besides you being a trailblazer in being a digital nomad and going and landing in Merida and sort of building this new life for yourself and also for your family, you share this life on the socials. You got a YouTube, you have an
I
Instagram.
do.
What prompted you or inspired you to start a channel and share your story?
You know what it was? So travel, probably if it were just me, I wouldn't have taken this on. But when I was started to research, I had to do a lot of research for making sure that my daughter would like it as well. And so I was not finding a lot of channels that were dedicated to moms with older kids. There are a lot of women I find traveling with babies because it's easy to travel before they are school aged. I was not getting any information or, lots of information from moms with school age kids. Like, what are you doing? So I started to put that kind of information out. Like, here's how you can travel with a preteen or a teenager. She's a teenager now. These are the things that I did to research and make sure that she would like the place too, and it wasn't just me. And that research actually helped because now she loves it, and so I wanted to make sure I share that information and showcase our lifestyle, so that if there are other moms out there or other families out there who want to do this and they're kind of scared of taking their child out of school, it can work. It can work. They will love it
Right.
too. They will thrive just the same. They will probably thrive even more actually being out there in the world and learning new things in different cultures. You know what I mean? Because I'm so excited that I'm sure she's going to be bilingual, completely fluent before the year's out. And I'm looking forward to that.
To have a
I'm also
translator.
looking forward to what kind of opportunities that opens her up for later on in life. I think that's so
Right.
exciting.
Right. Yeah, you don't see that on any of the social channels at all. So yeah, you're definitely sparking a kind of this new demographic that hasn't really been touched on upon.
Right. There's not much out there about, moms traveling with teenage kids. So yeah.
No. No, most at that phase aren't taking that risk to do something like
Right.
that. They're
Exactly.
they're more so staying in the steady state.
Hmm.
Um, so I guess when you were doing your research, you were seeing just more general travel, general
General
sort of,
travel
right.
or family travel with very young kids. Yeah.
Okay. Who kind of, yeah, who either have like this massive investment to do this stuff.
That part. Exactly. They were also quite lacking in melanin, a lot of them.
Exactly.
So some of the things that they were doing, I probably wouldn't want to do them. And some of the risks they were taking, I probably wouldn't want to take them.
You're like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way over here on the
That
street.
part.
What about do you see much content on Merida? Because because you're close to Cancun and of course Playa del Carmen, which
Mhm.
attracts a lot more attention than
Yeah.
Merida. Is that the case?
Actually, so here's the thing. People who are searching for Cancun and Playa content are looking to go on a vacation. But there is a massive movement, as you said, of Americans and Canadians and other nationals who want to move to Mexico, who want to live here. And Merida is one of those spots it's a hot spot for people who want to relocate permanently or at least for a few years because of all the things I mentioned. It's safe, it's affordable, it has good tropical climate year round. And so it's high on the list for people who want to relocate permanently or semi permanently. And so I am getting a lot of comments and the followers from people who have questions about wanting to live here.
Do you see yourself continuing to make videos and continuing to sort of pioneer that message?
Absolutely, because now that I have been on this path for a while, I still have things to say. Like I actually just uploaded a video on like kind of like the mistakes that I made, especially, and a lot of my friends here have made on choosing your first place to live in terms of neighborhood. And that was inspired by a couple who came here on a discovery trip. They wanted to kind of feel out the neighborhood, see where was the best place to look for their rental. And I had quite the amount of things I had to say to them. I was like, no, I have to put out a video on this because I have learned a lot in that year plus that I've been here. Like, don't do this, don't do that, check this place out, those things. So I actually just uploaded a video talking about like some of the mistakes that you want to avoid and some of the neighborhoods that you do want to check out because there are a lot of opinions on neighborhoods and all of them are right. And so it's just really boiling down to what you are looking for, what kind of lifestyle you want to live. And so I thought that, maybe I should put my voice out there and put my opinion out there because it's just one of those things, as I said, that I wasn't finding anyone who matched up to my lifestyle putting that
Right.
information out.
Yeah, it was very quiet on that side on that side of the street.
Yeah.
So you're in this very unique space. Does the algorithm push your content out?
There is some kind of content that goes out. Like anytime I do anything in house hunting, and that's how I know that there are a lot of people who are looking to move here. People are looking for places to live. And so that kind of stuff does always do well. Um, I'm I'm hoping that the algorithm will catch on even more to the Merida stuff. I am. We will see. I'm going to keep creating content and hope that I get the people who are looking for places to live in Mexico who, you know what, probably a lot of people don't have Merida on their radar yet. So
No.
yeah,
Do you plan to make creating content a full-time gig one day?
I would love to because I do love to create the content. And so I'm like, well, if y'all want me to stop working and just get content, just say that. Just say that. Of course. I mean, like, if the only thing I have on my plate is to, where do I want to film today? Oh, that sounds wonderful. That absolutely sounds wonderful. Hell yeah.
It would be nice. It would be very
Wouldn't
nice.
it? So I'm hoping the algorithm gods will shower me with love one day, and I'll be like, yes,
Hey, look, we're gonna manifest it. It will. It
that
will.
part.
That is beautiful. That's beautiful. Oh man, your story is perfect.
Thank
So
you.
no, yeah, and keep on pushing because you never know. You never know. Because like
Mhm,
when I do talk to a lot of travel influencers, they'll make a video about some location, but
mhm.
nobody watches it. Nobody knows about it. It sits there quiet, dormant for a while. But then Condé
Boom.
Nast and says 2025, this is the new hot place to go travel to. And all of a sudden,
Ooh.
everybody's looking at this video. So it takes time, in those scenarios, it takes time for
Wow.
that like that explosion
You're right. I
to
never thought
happen.
about it that way because I would have had all these other videos just sitting there for people who it's suddenly on their radar.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly,
We
exactly.
gonna manifest that for sure.
Do you run into any other traveling Jamaicans?
Not many, but as small for the small island that we are, there are quite there. I've met a couple here. The
Mm.
funny thing is, though, that I think I'm the only one fresh off the banana boat. The Jamaicans are gonna kill me for that one. But I am the only one that I've ever met who's straight from the island. Like a lot of the Jamaicans I've met here are via. So I have a Jamaican mom, or
Right.
yes, I was born in Jamaica. I grew up there till I was 5, and then I lived XYZ. So I think I'm the only person that I've met so far I came from Jamaica straight. So everybody always asks me, "Oh, you're Jamaican, nice. So you lived in New York?" No, I came straight from Jamaica. Like,
Yeah, that's more me. My mom's Jamaican. And
see,
so
there you
I'm a
go.
via. I'm a via. Do you ever go back? Do you go back to Jamaica often or
Not as often as I would want to, but I hope to change that. I hope to change that because I still love my home. Like a lot of people who leave wherever they're coming from are leaving because they are fed up with something, the crime, the cost of living, whatever it is. I left on search of adventure and I still love my home. I still love my home. I went back last summer and I almost didn't leave. I honestly almost didn't leave but I love Mexico too. I have come to really and truly fall in love with Merida in it, especially. And so I plan to travel back and forth as much as I can because I'm going to go home for Carnival. Like I can't miss Carnival. And I love Christmas in Jamaica. So there are like certain events and certain times that I would absolutely love to be in Jamaica, but I don't know that I need to live there. You know what I mean?
understand.
Yeah.
What's the flight path from Merida to Jamaica? Is it straight from Mexico City?
And
Is it
that's definitely one of the reasons why I haven't been back so much because there are absolutely no direct flights, not even from Cancun. So from Merida, I'd first have to go to Cancun. And then, or no, I don't remember which airline just opened up a new flight path from Merida to Miami. And then I can get from Miami to Jamaica really easily.
Gotcha.
If I go through Cancun, I still probably go to Miami, or I can go to Santo Domingo, or I
Okay.
can go to Panama and then to Jamaica. So, whole heap of little touch points. But yeah, and all of those are a pain in the butt because the stopovers are so long. So it's just, ugh.
Yeah. It's almost like if you have to fly to Panama, you might as well be there for a couple days and then
That
take your
part, that's how we ended
right.
up because when I realized that I couldn't get to Mexico straight, I was just like, and then, it's easy to say I'm just going to hop over to Miami, but for a lot of Jamaicans, you need a visa to get to the US, and so that's not an option for a lot of my Jamaicans. So
Oh, I
they would
see.
have to come from Jamaica to Santo Domingo or to Panama and then here. And that's how I ended up staying in Panama for a few days because I chose that route because my parents don't have US visas at this time. And so I was just like, okay, let's just go. But since we have to stop in Panama, let's stay there a few days
Right,
first, check it out. So yeah,
right. Basically take advantage of the layover
right.
and such and such. Okay, so do you have any upcoming trips planned?
More than the bank account allows. That is so funny. One of my girlfriends, two of my girlfriends actually now, want to go to Italy this summer, and I'm just like, guys, come on, on chest eye. Can we go to can we go to I don't know Colombia? Can we go to why are we going to Italy? The big bucks, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I've never been to Europe, so I'm excited. I don't know if I'll actually make it. That's something that's on the manifestation list, child. Because Italy, again, from a Jamaican perspective, is something that I have to first think about visas and stuff like that. And so we'll see how that works out. Um,
Okay.
and then when my daughter gets the summer break off, it's always my travel season. So she goes to her father usually, and I pick a place and go there. So we'll see what that looks like this summer.
Okay. So you have Italy booked, but the rest is sort of still being explored.
Up in the air, pretty much. Yeah.
There's book now, pay later, but I think some of us, like myself, live on book now, pray later. Let's see
There
how
you
it works
go.
out. All
Yeah, I
right.
have to go check out this tequila train that is on all the Instagram videos.
And then also you have much more of Mexico to go through. Yeah, you got
Hmm.
much more to kind of see and explore. There's tons in Mexico actually that
Yep, got to go check
um,
out the tequila train. Got to go to the Talang Togo caves, something. They're
yeah, yeah.
holy of Mexico still to
I
check
believe I know
out.
what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Got
So
to make it up
let's
to Baja. I want to go up to
yeah.
Baja to check it out. There you go.
And just like you, I do also want to see Oaxaca as well. I didn't get to see it. I've heard a lot of great things about Oaxaca. It's really on my list. Hopefully I can make my way out there sometime this year or maybe next year. We'll see.
Yep.
We'll see how it all plays out. All right. I know you had the rest of the day for to go be with family, to get ready for
Yep.
tomorrow. Wintertime, so it's always getting dark so early. So I want to end off with these quirky pay me and plane tickets questions that's supposed to kind of get you a little bit off your feet, see how you see where you land. Ready? All
Okay.
right.
I'm ready.
So if you had to get paid in plane tickets, which airline are you choosing?
Ugh, which airline? Oh, child, probably Delta. I don't know, child. That one's you know why that one threw me off? Because you coming from Jamaica, there's just not a lot
Mhm.
of airlines I have loyalty to. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
So everyone that flashed through my mind, I was like, no, they're always delayed. No, not enough baggage. No, like it's just I don't know. So I picked the one that I thought is always most expensive. That's the one I picked.
Well, look, Delta's a good one. That's actually a very popular choice on the podcast
There
here.
you go. Great.
So you're in good company. Put it this way. Airbnb or hotel?
Hotel. Hotel me down, please. The Airbnb has, they're getting quite a reputation right now, and rightfully so. Like, I've had some very questionable experiences with them. And at this point in my life, if I can afford the hotel, I'm going with the hotel.
It's a safe bet.
Yeah.
Understood, understood. Do you use a travel credit card to get points or
I
anything like
don't
that
because
nature?
that wasn't a thing in Jamaica. I think it is now, so I'd have to go back and sign up and all of that. But
Right.
I don't simply because that wasn't a big thing in Jamaica when I was leaving.
You know, I do hear that response from a lot of international born individuals.
Yeah.
They're not used to the cashback or the points earning sort of
Hmm.
cards situation. So,
Right.
and I think it's the best situation. Always pay with debit card. You have nothing else to worry after that.
That part. So, the only thing is that credit cards are better for travel because if anything ever happens to your cards, it's not really your money. So
Yeah,
there are pros and cons.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. I guess the resolve for that is, make sure you're with like a pretty decent bank that can,
Right.
cover you in case of emergency. It's like that.
Hmm.
So you mentioned a lot of good things about travel, but do you have a travel pet peeve?
Ooh, do I have a travel pet peeve? Ah. So the only one that I can think of off the top of my head is, you know what? I am the person who reads all reviews. Like I want to see every single review from coming back from 2002 to now. And I'm looking at every picture. I want to, especially because of Airbnbs, you want to see what people have to say, right? So how did this one miss me? Last time I was looking at a place, I was like, okay, the pictures look good, the reviews look okay, I can work with this because sometimes when you're balling on a budget, the reviews might not be stellar, but you're like, yeah, mom, I can work with that. Now if that's sure, cool. And so I was looking at the pictures and I saw I wanted to make sure I had a place that had like a kitchenette because I wasn't going to be eating out for every meal. That was what was on my mind. And so I'm going through the pictures. I see a microwave and a mini fridge. I'm like, yeah, 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 to have kitchenettes, to have everything I need. I reach there, there's no sink. So there's actually no kitchenette. There's just a microwave and a fridge. So I'm like, like what? So I had to like, yeah, like so. My pet peeve there is that the angles of the pictures when they're putting up their listings, like they're trying to get me. Like how much more thorough can I be? Like that's just my thing, because I'm thinking I have so much experience now. There are things that I can't miss, and I
Right.
absolutely missed that one. So,
That's
and then the angle in that same property too, the angle that they took the bathroom because the bathroom was like this tiny. I was like, come on, dog. But yeah,
It's the angles, the
the
angles.
angle messed me up for sure for that place.
Okay, that's a good one, actually. Yeah, that's a good one. Of you do a lot of deep research on reviews.
Yeah,
That's a solid
and then
one.
you still and they still one up you somehow.
You pretty much get to the review, you sort by what was the lowest rated first, and then let's see.
Yep, absolutely. I want to see. I want to hear it.
Okay. Carry on or check bag?
Ooh. Carry on comes to the top of mind first, but it depends on what kind of trip it is, honestly. For, let's say, living here in Mexico, I'm the first one to tell everyone, don't try to recreate home life here. Like, come and find things that you like here and stop trying to recreate and look for all the foods that you liked at home and all of that. However,
Mhm.
every now and then you do want some comforts from home. And so let's say I'm just running to Miami for a quick trip. I'm gonna have a checked bag because I want to bring big sized of my hair products and things like that that I can't really find here or I haven't found like substitutes for yet.
Mhm.
So it depends on what kind of trip. So if you're asking me for a quick travel trip, like I'm going to Mexico City this weekend, absolutely, I'm just like my bag, not even a carry-on, like I just want my bag.
Right.
Am I going to Italy for 2 weeks? I'm probably going
Okay.
to try and do the carry-on still. I'm honestly probably going to try and do a carry-on. But if I'm going to do a shopping trip, then it's a checked bag. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I like the way you set it up. It's if it's
Yeah.
short, quick, carry on. If it's a long duration trip, definitely check back. Or in your situation, you already have a place, and if you want to bring something back home to kind of
Hmm.
utilize, is check back because obviously
Right.
you need to go out and
Right.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
You brought up a good point about black hair. Hair is very, very important. How
Very.
is Mexico City for black hair or Merida for black hair?
You know what? It's okay. It's not horrible.
Mhm.
It's not the best, but it's okay. You can find some of your products. Well, like the very super popular ones, like maybe Shea Moisture. I've seen Cantu. So you can find certain brands that you're used to from back home. If you have your specialty products, like most of us by now have our brands that we know, love, trust.
Mhm.
You're probably not going to find those here.
Got you. Okay.
So you're going to want to probably bring some of that stuff to last you quite a while when you're here until, because again, I am an advocate for going through what's available and finding stuff that works here. The only difference here is for hair, it's going to be hard to find stuff because the hair texture is just different. And so their products that they're making here in Mexico is probably not for our hair.
I see.
So there is Amazon. You can always order if
So,
some things if
right.
you need. But yeah, it is a challenge to find certain like specialty products for sure.
So if you have dreadlocks, it's best just to cut them.
Here in Merida, there are enough people now who have come down in the Black community who specialize in hair. So
Mhm.
they've set up shop. You can get your hair retwisted, all of that here.
Gotcha.
Fine. And for Americans, they will love that. They will love the prices and the services. What I find as a Jamaican is that Americans come with American pricing, and services here are much cheaper than in America,
Mhm.
for sure. So
Okay.
if
Okay.
an American moves here and starts to do hair, it's highly likely that they've priced even me out because back home in Jamaica, it doesn't cost all of that to do hair at all. So if they're coming here and they're charging their American prices, good luck to that. But they have a very American market. They have priced themselves out of doing anybody else's hair.
Understood. That was a really good tidbit. I'm glad we got to dive into that actually. Um,
Yeah, beauty services are really affordable here. So yeah.
Wonderful to hear. Wonderful to hear, honestly. All right, back to trip you up now.
Ooh.
Window, aisle, or dare I say middle seat? Which one are you
Absolute
looking for?
window. Window. You know what though? It depends on how short a trip it is. If it's just an
Um,
hour long, you can aisle me. I want to get up and get out as quickly as possible. I'm cool with that. It also depends on the time of day. Like if it's a daytime, you better give me my window seat. If it's nighttime, there's nothing to see.
it doesn't even matter at nighttime.
Don't even matter.
Okay. We asked this last question. If you had to travel to one place for the rest of your life, where would it be?
Jamaica.
Drum roll, it was already
Am I
there.
cheating?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I do. Yeah, I would absolutely say Jamaica for that one. I love my country. I do.
Beautiful, beautiful. And look, and there's still tons more to explore. So,
Yeah,
when you come back on, you can change your answer after you've seen
there you
those other
go.
places. But for right now, it's definitely Jamaica.
It's back home for sure.
Okay. Last one. Why is travel important?
Because the world is huge, and the more that you get out there and learn that and know that, is the smaller you become. So sometimes we have to dumb down our ego, be like, come on now, because I find that a lot of us center ourselves in certain conversations, not realizing that there's so much more out there. There are so many other perspectives, and all of them hold space. You can hold space for all of them, and the more you learn that, is the more you get to appreciate how other people are living their life. And I think some of that is beautiful for some of us to learn. I think that's a lesson that a lot of us could stand to learn, is that there are many, many perspectives out there, and you cannot learn them at home. You need to get out there and actually see how people are living and learn new things. And what you do is you take the best of everything back home with you. So
Mm,
wherever home is, the more you get out there and you learn new ways to do things, you take the best of it all back home with you.
I love that response. That was beautifully put.
Thank you.
Well, Miss Monique, I want you to go back, enjoy your day, enjoy the time in Merida. You are dealing with better weather than us over here. So
It's kind of hot right now, man. It's so hot. Oh, I need to turn the air on.
trust me, we got some cool air for you if you ever need some.
Okay, thank you so much, Jelani. It was fun, very fun.
Wonderful. Margarita's on us.
All right.